Students, you all know that the surrounding in which we live is called the environment. Our environment includes living things such as plants, animals, insects, and birds.
It also includes non-living things such as air, water, land, and sunlight.
People are also the important part of environment. They depend on environment for all their needs. People breathe air from the environment. People drink water from the environment. People cut down trees for firewood and timber. People also cut down trees for their new settlements and agricultural land.
People kill wild animals for their skin, fur, tusk, bone, etc. People establish factories and industries in the environment.
People also run vehicles. But let us think. People are cutting down trees faster than the trees can be replanted and grown to maturity. The factories and industries have polluted the air, water, and land. Vehicles have polluted the air. People have hunted some animals so much that they are in danger of extinction. Are these things good?
Obviously, they are not.
Deforestation destroys trees and other small plants. If there were no plants, where would we get oxygen from? There would also be soil erosion. Natural calamities like the flood and landslide also occur.
Polluted air is not good for breathing. It spreads different airborne diseases.
Polluted water is unfit for drinking. It spreads different waterborne diseases. killing of wild animals decreases the number of animals. Some animals may even be in danger of extinction.
If any of the animals becomes extinct, it affects all other living things.
Air, water, trees, and animals all are necessary for our survival. It may be difficult to imagine that we could ever run out of fresh water, clean air, and good soil for growing food.
But in some places, this is already happening.
So we need to use the resources like air, water, trees, and animals wisely. The wise use of natural resources is called conservation of the environment. So, we need to conserve our environment so that none of the natural resources get exhausted in the future. We also need to conserve the environment to make certain we have natural resources for ourselves in the future.
It will also allow future generations to enjoy these natural resources.
Students, now let us learn about the different measures we can adopt to conserve our environment. We can see different plants around us. Can you tell me how a plant helps us? Yes, during food preparation, a plant takes in carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. In this way, a plant helps to purify the air.
All the plants help to purify the air.
Plants also help to bind the soil with their roots. Roots prevents the soil from being eroded by the wind or water. So, in order to protect the soil from erosion and to get pure air, it is necessary to plant more trees. Plantation of trees is called afforestation. Students, you all know that a deer lives in the forest. A deer eats grass to survive. A tiger also lives in the forest. A tiger eats deer to survive. When a tiger dies, microorganisms decompose its body and mix it with the soil. This adds manure to the soil.
Grass grow well in fertile soil.
So, grass to the deer, deer to the tiger, and again, tiger to grass. Each living thing depends on another for its food. That is, there is a relationship between these living things. There is also a relationship between the living things and their environment. During food preparation, a plant releases the oxygen gas and purifies the air. A plant also traps dust particles from the air and helps to keep the air clean. You all know that plants need water to prepare their food. They release the excess water from their bodies into the atmosphere in the form of vapor. This vapor rises up into the sky and becomes cloud. And you all know clouds give rain.
So, plants also help to maintain the water cycle.
When a plant dies, it mixes into the soil, doesn't it? All the plants and animals mix into the soil when they die. This adds humus to the soil and makes the soil fertile. So there is constant interaction between the living things and the environment. The living things in certain areas interact with each other and the environment they live in. Look at this machine. This machine has different parts. All these parts work together as a single unit. We call it a system. Living things and non-living things in an environment also work together, interacting with one another. Thus, they form a system. The group of living things and the environment they live in make up the ecological system called the ecosystem.
The forest is a kind of ecosystem. The grassland is also a kind of ecosystem.
But due to the different human activities, the ecosystem is being disturbed. Do you know how?
People are using more and more land to cultivate crops. They are using more land to graze their cattle. They are also using more land to build factories.
Due to all these activities, plants and animals are losing their shelters. And they are forced to disappear.
People use different chemicals and pesticides which kill many plants and animals.
In addition, people illegally kill wild animals like a tiger, an elephant, a rhinoceros, and a deer for tusk, skin, fur, and bones. Due to all these human activities, many of the plants and animals have disappeared.
And many of them are in danger of disappearing.
When plants and animals disappear, the balance in the environment is lost, and the ecosystem is disturbed. So, in order to protect this wildlife from being extinct and maintain balance in the environment, it is necessary to conserve them. Think how we can conserve the wildlife. Confused? Well, let me tell you. For the protection and proper conservation of these wildlife, national parks and wildlife conservation areas should be established in different parts of the country. Illegal hunting of animals should be banned.
People who are involved in illegal hunting of animals should be punished.
The government should make strict rules and laws against people who are involved illegally in buying and selling of products like skin, tusk, bones, fur, etc. It is better to plant trees in the bare land as well. Education should be imparted to the population about the importance of the wildlife. Students, now let me show you something. Have a look at these two lands. This is a slope land and this is a plain land. You can see the water flowing in both of these lands. What do you find here?
In the slope, the speed of water is faster than in the plain land. More the slope, faster is the speed of water.
Not only water, but also the other things move faster in a slope. It is due to gravity. The fast-moving water in the slope land causes the soil erosion. But there is less soil erosion in the plain land.
So, when water moves faster, there is a greater chance of soil erosion.
Look at this picture. The slopeland has been divided into many parts of plain lands for farming.
The speed of water is reduced in each plain part of land. Farming by dividing a slope land into plain land is called terrace farming.
So we can protect the soil from erosion by terrace farming. Terrace farming also prevents landslides. Now look at this field. Here, rows of crops are planted around the side of a sloping hill instead of up and down the hill. This kind of farming is known as contour farming. The rows of crops help to slow the water down. The runoff from the heavy rains flows gently between the rows and cannot carry the soil with it. Contour farming also helps to reduce soil erosion.
Thus, terrace and contour farming both help to reduce the erosion of soil and ultimately help in the conservation of the environment.
Students, you all know we use water for various purposes. We use water for drinking, cooking, bathing, washing, and cleaning. We also use water for gardening, irrigation, transportation, and recreation. And one interesting thing, more than 75% of our body contains water. Our body needs water to carry out most life processes like digestion, circulation, excretion, and so on. Plants and animals also need water in order to carry out most of the life processes. So, none of the living things can live without water. If there is no water, there is no life. So, water is very important. We should not waste water. We should not pollute water and its resources. We should always keep water and its resources clean. The way of keeping the water and its resources clean is called conservation of water.
Rivers, wells, and ponds are sources of water. We should not throw wastes, garbage, and other dirty materials in and around these sources. We should not wash our clothes in the river and lake. We should not take our animals inside the river and lake.
A lot of people live in cities. From their kitchen, bathroom, and toilet every day, people produce a lot of waste. These waste products are sent somewhere through a big pipe called the drainage. We should not mix the waste materials and the drainage directly into the river. For this, it is better to make a separate drainage channel.
In villages too, the toilets should be made away from the water sources. So, we should always keep the river and lake clean.
We all know that the rain is the main source of water. Rivers, lakes, and ponds get water from the rain. If the rainwater is dirty, all sources of water will also be dirty.
If the air around us has dust, smoke, and germs, the rainwater will be dirty. And all other sources of water will also be dirty. So, we need to keep our environment clean to keep the rainwater and other water sources clean.
Plants prevent the land from drying. Plants also hold up water in the soil. If there are no plants on the land, it will get dry. If the land dries, the rivers, lakes, and ponds will also dry up. The underground water may also dry up. So, conservation of the forest is essential for conservation of water.
When animals like cows, buffaloes, goats, and sheep graze on the same piece of land again and again, the grass cover gets destroyed. This results in drying up of underground water. So, overgrazing should be avoided to conserve water.
Students, you must have seen the terrace cuts along the slopes, in the hill slopes for cultivation. The terrace farming stops the soil erosion, which in turn prevents the underground water sources from drying up.
So, for conservation of water, we should keep the sources of water clean. We should conserve the forest. We should avoid overgrazing. We should promote terrace farming in the hill slopes.
Students, you all know that the forest provides shelter and food for many birds and animals. But sometimes an uncontrolled fire occurs in the forest. The fire in the forest is known as forest fire. It burns rare species of plants and animals.
This fire is not useful.
As it kills many plants and animals, it is harmful. Naturally, forest fire may occur due to lightning.
But forest fire also occurs due to human carelessness.
You must be wondering how, aren't you? Well, let me tell you. People carelessly throw a burning cigarette into the forest. The tiniest spark from the cigarette may cause forest fires.
People also carelessly throw a burning matchstick in the forest. This also may cause forest fire.
Sometimes people set a campfire for a social event. The sparks from the campfire may also cause the forest fire. Most of the forest fires are human set. Forest fires kill rare species of plants and animals. Forest fires decreases the number of birds and animals in the forest. It also decreases the number of plants. We cannot get timber, firewood, medicines, etc. Therefore, we need to be careful while using matchstick and setting fire.
The smoking should be prohibited in the forest area. People who set the fire should be punished.
Students, we see vehicles running on the road. Vehicles like a bus, a motorbike, a car, and a truck emit smoke when they run. This smoke mixes with the air and decreases the quality of air. It is called air pollution. When we breathe in polluted air, smoke and harmful gases enter our body. It causes respiratory diseases like asthma, lung cancer, and pneumonia.
Air pollution also leads to environmental degradation.
So, we should control air pollution. In order to control air pollution, the smoke emitted by the vehicles must be controlled. So, what can we do to control the smoke emitted by vehicles? Confused? Well, let me tell you. Vehicles are usually run with petrol or diesel. When petrol and diesel burn, they produce harmful gases and smoke. So, vehicles that use petrol and diesel cause pollution. Now look at this bus. Do you know it?
It is a trolley bus.
Do you know what it uses to run?
A trolley uses electricity to run.
And remember that the use of electricity does not cause any pollution. As the trolley bus uses electricity to run, it is an electric vehicle. The use of the electric vehicles does not pollute the air. This controls air pollution. So, the use of electric vehicles must be encouraged. This controls the air pollution and helps in the conservation of the environment. Not only the air pollution, we should also control the water pollution, land pollution, and noise pollution.
Control of pollution helps to conserve the environment.
For this, it is better to make a separate drainage channel.
In villages too, the toilets should be made away from the water sources. So, we should always keep the river and lake clean.
We all know that the rain is the main source of water. Rivers, lakes, and ponds get water from the rain. If the rainwater is dirty, all sources of water will also be dirty.
If the air around us has dust, smoke, and germs, the rainwater will be dirty. And all other sources of water will also be dirty. So, we need to keep our environment clean to keep the rainwater and other water sources clean.
Plants prevent the land from drying. Plants also hold up water in the soil. If there are no plants on the land, it will get dry. If the land dries, the rivers, lakes, and ponds will also dry up. The underground water may also dry up. So, conservation of the forest is essential for conservation of water.
When animals like cows, buffaloes, goats, and sheep graze on the same piece of land again and again, the grass cover gets destroyed. This results in drying up of underground water. So, overgrazing should be avoided to conserve water.
Students, you must have seen the terrace cuts along the slopes, in the hill slopes for cultivation. The terrace farming stops the soil erosion, which in turn prevents the underground water sources from drying up.
So, for conservation of water, we should keep the sources of water clean. We should conserve the forest. We should avoid overgrazing. We should promote terrace farming in the hill slopes.